Hello, I invite you on a journey to hot Africa, the land before words. Before stories had names, the land already existed. It breathed with the sun. It listened with the wind. It remembered everything. The African plains stretched wide and open, golden in the early light. Tall grass moved slowly, like the surface of a quiet sea. The sky was pale blue, still waking, and the air carried the soft smell of dry earth and life. In this land, nothing rushed without reason. A young elephant stood near the edge of a shallow river. His name was Kibbo. He did not know his name yet, not in the way humans understand names, but the sound of it lived inside him like a quiet drum. Kibbo lifted his trunk and drew water into his mouth. It was cool, carrying the taste of stone and distance. He drank slowly. Around him, his family moved with calm certainty. Large bodies, gentle steps, deep presence. His mother stood close, her side warm against his. Her skin was rough, marked by time, but her touch was soft. When she moved, Kibbo moved. When she stopped, he stopped. This was the first law he had learned. Farther out on the plain, under the shadow of a twisted acacia tree, a lion lay watching the morning. His name was Barrow. Barrow did not sleep. He rested, alert even in stillness. His golden eyes followed the movement of the grass, the shape of distant bodies, the slow path of clouds. He was old enough to know that strength was not only in speed or teeth, but in waiting. The land spoke to Barrow in quiet ways. A shift in wind, a change in scent, a where silent sound should be. This morning, the land felt different. High above, where the trees thinned and the ground opened wide, a giraffe raised her head even higher than usual. Sela had the gift of distance. She saw storms before they arrived. She saw danger before it reached the herd. Today, she saw nothing dramatic, and that worried her. The birds had grown quiet too early. The air felt too still. Even the insects seemed to pause, as if listening for something that had not yet arrived. Kibbo felt it in his chest, a tightness without a shape. He pressed closer to his mother, his ear brushing her side. Her heartbeat was slow and steady. "Do not fear yet," it seemed to say. Across the plain, zebras gathered closer together, their striped bodies forming a moving pattern of tension and trust. Antelope lifted their heads again and again. The river moved more slowly than it should. The land was holding its breath. And when the land holds its breath, everything living upon it must listen. None of them knew it yet, but this day would change the rhythm of the plain. Paths would shift, old rules would bend, and a young elephant would take his first step toward becoming something more than he had ever imagined. The sun climbed higher, and the story began. When the earth grows silent, the heat came earlier than usual. By the time the sun reached the middle of the sky, the air was already heavy. It pressed against the land, against skin and fur and feather, as if trying to slow everything down. The grass lost its morning softness. Each step now carried dust. Kibbo felt it first in his feet. The ground was harder, warmer. The soft mud near the river had pulled back, leaving cracked lines like old scars. He lifted his foot and placed it down again, unsure, as if the land itself was changing beneath him. His mother stopped. That alone was enough. The herd froze, large shapes becoming suddenly still. No sound, no movement, only breathing. She lifted her trunk high and breathed in deeply. Her eyes were calm, but inside them lived memory. She remembered other days like this, days when the land gave warning before it took. Kibbo did not know those memories, but he felt their weight. Far away, Barrow rose to his feet. His body moved with slow precision. Muscles shifted under his skin as he turned his head toward the east. The wind came from that direction, thin and dry, carrying almost nothing. No scent of rain, no promise. Barrow's tail flicked once. The plain was too quiet. Birds should have been calling. Insects should have filled the air with movement. Instead, silence spread like a shadow. High above, Sela stepped forward and stopped. From her height, she could see what others could not. The river curved through the land like a thin, shining line, but parts of it were already breaking apart. Small pools where there should have been flow. She shifted her weight uneasily. Change was coming. Zebras began to move first. Not running, not panicking, but drifting closer together. Their stripes merged into confusion, a living wall of black and white. Antelope followed. Even the birds flew lower, closer to the earth. The animals were listening. Kibbo pressed his side against his mother again. Her presence was steady, but her steps were no longer relaxed. When she moved, it was with purpose now. The herd began to walk, not toward the river they knew, but away from it. This surprised Kibbo. He lifted his head and made a low sound, a question without words. His mother touched him gently with her trunk, guiding him forward. Trust the movement, the touch said. Trust the land, even when it changes. They walked for a long time. The sun burned above them. Dust rose with every step. Kibbo's breath grew faster, but he did not fall behind. Around him, the older elephants formed a moving circle of protection. At a distance, Barrow watched. He did not follow. Not yet. Predators know when to wait. When the land tightens, mistakes are costly. Barrow lowered himself into the grass and let the heat pass over him. Hunger could wait. Water could not. Hours later, clouds gathered. Not the heavy, dark kind that promise rain. These were thin, pale, stretched wide like tired wings. They offered shade, but nothing more. The herd reached a place where the earth dipped low and held on to what little water remained. A shallow basin. Muddy. Warm. Enough to survive, but not enough to stay. Kibbo drank carefully. The water tasted wrong. Old. But it cooled his mouth and eased the tight feeling in his chest. Around them, other animals arrived. Zebras. Antelope. Birds. Even Barrow, at a distance, stepped into the open and sat. No one challenged him. The land was stronger than fear. As the sun began to fall, the air cooled slightly. Shadows stretched long across the plain. The animals rested, conserving energy, knowing the night would bring questions the day could not answer. Kibbo lay beside his mother, his body tired, his mind full. Above them, the sky turned deep orange, then purple. The land exhaled, but it did not return to normal. And somewhere far beyond the horizon, something old was waking. The night that broke the line. Night came quietly, too quietly. The stars appeared one by one, cold and distant. The air cooled, but the land did not relax. Even in darkness, the earth felt tense, as if holding its breath. Kibbo slept close to his mother, her large body warm and steady beside him. He dreamed of water, deep water, cool water that reached his knees and made the dust disappear. Then he woke up. At first, he did not know why. Everything was dark, too dark. The herd should have been around him, bodies pressed close, gentle sounds of breathing and movement. Instead, there was space, open air, silence. Kibbo lifted his head. No trunk touched him back. A sharp fear moved through his chest. He stood quickly and turned in a small circle. Shapes moved in the distance, but they were wrong. Smaller, faster, not the slow, strong forms of elephants. The herd was gone. For a moment, Kibbo froze. His ears lifted wide, catching every sound. The night answered with whispers, wind and dry grass, a distant call from a bird. Nothing else. Then he heard it. A low sound. Not loud, not close, but real. His mother. Kibbo answered at once, his voice high and shaking. He called again, louder this time, turning toward the sound and stepping forward. The ground slipped. He fell hard, his legs sliding down into a shallow cut in the earth, hidden by darkness. Dust filled his nose. He struggled, pushing with all his strength, but the sides were steep and dry. He cried out again. This time, no answer came. The night changed. Somewhere nearby, something moved. Slow, heavy, intentional. Barrow. The lion had been waiting for darkness. Hunger sharpened his senses, and the sound of panic was impossible to ignore. He moved low, silent as shadow, his eyes catching the faint light of the stars. Kibbo smelled him before he saw him. A sharp, wild scent filled the air. Fear flooded his body. He tried to climb again, his feet slipping uselessly against the hard earth. His heart beat so fast it hurt. He called out once more, his voice breaking. Barrow stepped closer, not running, not rushing. A hunter does not hurry when the night belongs to him. But then something else moved. The ground vibrated. A deep sound rolled through the darkness, stronger than fear, stronger than hunger. The herd had heard him. Kibbo's mother did not call back. She charged. The earth shook as massive bodies turned and moved together. Dust rose. The air filled with power. Barrow stopped instantly, his muscles tight, his ears flat. He knew this sound. No hunger was worth that risk. With a low growl, he turned and disappeared into the grass, melting back into the night. Moments later, Kibbo felt a trunk wrap around his body. Strong, certain, alive. His mother pulled him up and pressed him against her chest. Other elephants surrounded them, forming a wall of moving stone. Kibbo trembled, his legs weak, his breath uneven. He was safe, for now, but the land was still changing, and this night had taught him something important. The world could separate you in a moment, and sometimes surviving meant listening faster than fear. When the water left, the sun rose without kindness. Its light was pale at first, then sharp, then heavy. Heat pressed down on the land early, long before the day should have felt tired. The air stood still. Even the birds were quiet. Kibbo walked close to his mother as the herd moved forward. Each step sent small clouds of dust into the air. The ground beneath his feet felt hard and dry, cracked like old skin. Water was gone. The small river they followed for many days was now only a memory. Its path remained, a long, empty line through the land. Kibbo looked into it as they passed. No movement, no shine, only dry stones and dust. The older elephants knew this place. They did not stop. They walked with purpose, their heads low, their steps steady. The matriarch led them north, toward a place remembered in her bones. The journey does not end here. Join us in the next story, where new paths, new challenges, and quiet strength continue to shape the heart of Africa and the ones who listen to it.